Hi there, you're listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. My name is Matt Wakeling, and thank you so much for joining me for episode number 104 with UK indie musician Nathan Ball, who is currently touring Australia, just about at the end of a really solid bunch of dates. Nathan's stuff is beautifully guitar-driven, indie pop with some folk and electronic leanings in there as well. And it was really great to catch up with him. Let's jump straight into our interview with Nathan Ball. Nathan Ball, welcome to the Guitar Speak podcast.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Great to have you. Now, as we speak, I think you've got 3 more dates on your current Australia tour, but you've been pretty much here all of 2019 to date.
I have, actually. That's a good point. Haven't been home yet. But it's been an absolute dream, yeah. I don't want to go home, to be honest.
That's great. You've picked a great time of year. You're from London's your hometown, I guess we should note. So you've picked a good time to get to Australia, I guess.
Yeah, big time. I've been speaking to mates back home and they say it's been snowing and there's me sending them pictures from the beach. It's
awesome.
A treat.
Good bragging rights. Now, this is not your first Australian tour, is it?
It's my first tour, but I've travelled here a lot before. Okay. I think it's like the 5th time I've been over. But
okay,
yeah,
cool.
First time I played shows here.
Nice. And you've been touring with Ziggy Alberts. What can you tell us about those dates?
It's been amazing. It's been quite surreal, really, for my first shows in Australia. I think the entire tour was sold out weeks in advance, and we've done everything from, I think our smallest was a 200 cap, and then we did 5,500 in Melbourne a couple of nights ago. So we had a bit of everything, really, and travelled East Coast and West and South. It's been amazing, yeah. Yeah,
excellent. So good. And I think I've caught you on a well-deserved couple of days off before those final 3 gigs come up.
Yeah, I was pretty cooked after we had Melbourne, and then got about 3 hours sleep, and then we were on a plane up to Sydney and we played the Roundhouse, which is another big one. And,
yeah.
And then managed to finally get some sleep last night, which was much needed, I think.
Good for you, man. Now the tour comes on the back of All or Nothing, so a single released late in 2018, and I think whilst you've been out here, you've released another single, Call It Love. Now, what can you tell me about the songwriting process for those songs? Were they, well, I guess I should ask first, were they written in a same batch of songwriting, or was songwriting a continual sort of thing for you?
It's a continual thing, really. I think Call It Love was actually written before All or Nothing.
Okay.
All or Nothing was actually weirdly a kind of an amalgamation of a few different ideas I had, and there's this kind of middle eight at the end that was actually a chorus kind of thing to a song I'd previously written, and I was like, I'm not sure the song works, but there's something in that. And then ended up writing the verse to All or Nothing, and then the chorus kind of came out, and suddenly I started singing that middle 8 bit, and I was like, it's found its purpose. But I think it was like 2 years later, which is quite strange.
Yep.
But yeah, it's quite heavily inspired by, we spent the summer kind of hooked on the war on drugs and bands like that, and I think you can hear the kind of influence in the drum beats and potentially the guitars coming through there. So yeah, it was, and then we recorded it down in Cornwall. A mate very kindly lent us his house, and I set up a studio with Max, my guitarist and producer, and we just lived the dream, really, down by the sea, worked late into the night and surfed in the day. It was absolutely amazing.
That's awesome. That's the way to do it, folks. If you're listening at home, that's the way to make a record. Very cool. So that was All or Nothing. Is that the session for that you're referring to there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And then Call It Love was quite a funny one, actually. Max was living in London he had this very small room and bedroom, and we set up a few things in there, and we decided we needed more and more things and there were kind of tape delay machines coming in and big keyboards, and suddenly there wasn't enough room for his bed anymore. So he took one for the team and moved his bed into the garage.
Awesome.
And started sleeping in the garage, but winter hits pretty hard back home and he started getting ill, and so the dream was over, but we managed to record the song, and yeah, really happy with how it's come out. It sounds great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's lots going on there. I guess listening to your more recent stuff, so I guess including songs like Waste of Time and Cold Hands, you seem to have mastered writing songs with great guitar hooks, these great upbeat songs, but with tinges of melancholy and electronica, maybe as opposed to some of the earlier stuff I've heard, like the Footprints EP, where I guess your folk and your roots influences are a little more explicit, perhaps. What I don't know if this is too big a question, but what's been the process for you, or the journey for you as a songwriter, Nathan? Like infusing, all these different elements and then coming out with your own thing with it.
Yeah, I think initially just started out as one man and a guitar, playing a bit of folk music, and that's what I wrote, and that's what I was playing live. And then always had dreams of it becoming more of a kind of band project, and met Max, so I actually met Max years ago through a friend down on holiday in Devon in the southwest of the UK, and we ended up hooking up again and just hit it off immediately, and we've been playing together ever since. And the way our kind of styles meet is the sound you hear, really. He's an unbelievable guitarist, and he knows exactly what I'm trying to create when he's producing. And so, yeah, it's been a really kind of insular process, really. It's just been me and him tucked away in, and not even studios. We just like to set up all his stuff. And so, yeah, somewhere between mine and his styles is the kind of newer sound you hear.
Okay.
And but yeah, I actually listen to I'm a huge house music fan, and I think that's where the electronic elements come from. We play with a lot of synthesizers now and got pretty hooked on those. And I think as we progress, we'll keep exploring that avenue a bit more, I think.
Sure. I guess perhaps that inspires some of your production aesthetic as well. Again, the more recent work, there's lots of beautiful layering of guitars predominantly, but yeah, some more of those synth sounds as well. How do you divide up guitar parts? Because again, I guess with your folk background and some of the live shows of the videos I've seen, you are often finger picking, so that's a fairly direct line to the folk kind of thing. And Max is doing some more textural stuff. Is it a simple division of guitar parts for you guys when you're writing and producing?
Yeah, it's there's never any arguments about that. I think I'm a very unorthodox guitarist, actually. I just taught myself, and finger picking is my kind of from the folk roots, I guess, and that's always been my style and how I write music. And then Max is just the king of the lead guitar, really. So we leave our parts well alone and stick to our strengths. That's
great. Now I love it. In Call It Love, there's some just really subtle but just beautiful textures that you're weaving in and out of different sections. So every new verse or chorus for that, and for All or Nothing, I guess as well. There's some new ear candy going on. Some like the trem guitars in the chorus of Call It Love are really beautiful, and some cool reverbs and things. What tools are you drawing on for that? What guitars are you playing in the studio?
We're both actually on Fenders. I've got a little Fender Tele Deluxe, and Max plays a Fender Jazz, and we're both chucking through a twin reverb amp. And it's a pretty simple setup, really. I use a TC Electronics delay, and then Max chucks his through a huge reverb and a huge reverb delay pedal, and I think at one point his distortion pedal broke, so he borrowed mine, and then ended up working, and I think he's got them both in the chain now, so he's somehow got some double distortion going on there. But no, it's a pretty sweet sound really where they meet. There's a lot of kind of atmospheric reverb delay stuff going on. But no, I'm glad you picked up on the textures on the little parts. Because when you listen to them through speakers when we're recording them, we're really happy with them, and then you end up listening through a phone and you're like, has that got lost?
Yeah, where is
you
it?
Obviously heard it, so so that's good.
Oh, for sure, yeah. They're beautiful textures. With I'm not sure then if it was you or Max, but in verse 2 of Call It Love, there are these weird harmonic things going on. I think it's a guitar. I don't know if you know the part I'm referring to. There's just lots of great stuff for listeners who dig in and get some headphones for sure. There's good times.
Yeah, I'm not sure what part that is actually. I imagine it's guitars. We layered up a fair few.
Yeah, cool.
And there's a couple of synth pads in there, but I'm pretty sure that the guitars, they actually threw tons of reverb and a few layers. They kind of formed this really nice synth sound themselves. So a lot of the kind of synth pads are actually just layered guitars.
Beautiful.
And just catching the tail of the reverbs in there. It's great.
It's great. And then the crosstalk between those tracks and all that sort of thing, it just becomes this big, just warm sort of thing. It's very, very cool.
Awesome.
What about tunings? Are you using any altered tunings in your writing?
I used to write in drop D a lot.
Okay, yep.
And actually, Ziggy plays a lot of very strange tunings, and unfortunately, he plays a left-handed guitar, and so I've been trying to play his acoustics on the road because I've only got one electric out here, and when we've got a day off, I feel like playing, but I have to kind of somehow work his left-handed guitar. But he plays some wicked tunings, some really kind of funky ones, and so I'm looking forward to getting back in the studio and messing about with a few of those tunings, because it certainly opens up a lot of kind of really nice melodies, and I'd like to explore that a lot more, really. Sure.
Now I've read that you've been touring really solidly, I guess, since about 2017, and I think I get the idea things with Max sort of hooked up roughly around there, perhaps. Do you get to write much on the road, or do you just need to pull away by yourself to get that time, or how does that work for you when you're solidly touring? But obviously, writing's a huge part of the thing.
Yeah, it's been a pretty wild few years of touring actually.
Mm-hmm.
Been non-stop on the road since November. And we'll have done 42 shows once these three are done. Looking forward. I actually find it quite hard to write on the road. I always have a little notepad on the go where I write down any little ideas, but that's mostly lyrical ideas. And I have on my phone just tons and tons of videos of me walking down the street singing little melody ideas into them. So I dread the day I lose my phone and someone finds all these ridiculous videos. But someone very kindly lent me a studio the other day. So I went in and wrote a quick song. But no, I do find it quite hard to sit down and finish songs on tour. It's, I guess because you're just permanently on the move, it's hard to just really concentrate on it. But that's what sound checks are good for. You just run any ideas and have a little mess about.
Nice. Now I've read that you've said you're inspired by your natural surroundings, the ocean being one example. Can you speak into that a bit?
Yes, I spent a lot of time as a kid just messing about in the sea and up in the mountains. I was hooked on surfing and snowboarding from the age of 3, really. So I spent most of my life just surrounded in nature, and I love the way the sea makes you feel really insignificant, and I find that really inspiring. Just, I guess it reminds you the order of things, and you feel, that Mother Nature's boss. And my absolute dream is just tucking away in a little cottage while the storms are going nuts outside. And for some reason, that really inspires me. I think it's just all the little kind of creaks you hear of storms going crazy and howling winds blowing and the sea rushing. I think that kind of epic sound is what comes through in our music, really. It's kind of darker, and I think that's mostly what inspires me, the darker kind of sounds. I think that's why I'm struggling to write in Australia as well, really. It's too sunny and happy.
That's awesome.
I need some wild storms and howling rain. No, you guys have got it too good here.
It is pretty good. For our listeners too, Nathan just told me before the interview that he is chilling at Bondi Beach for a couple of days. So most of you who are listening will know where that is, and that's a pretty great spot to be hanging around. And yeah, there's not a lot of beautiful melancholia music that's going to come out of that day today, I guess. So sorry about that.
No, that's absolutely fine. I'm very happy at the moment, so can't complain.
Good for you. I'm heading to Europe in June, July this year, which is your summer, so I'm not sure how that relates to our summer, but...
don't expect too much.
Okay. I'll bring the jumpers as well. Bring
some jumpers, and a raincoat probably.
Okay. What happens once you leave Australia? I see you've got European dates coming up. What does the rest of 2019 look like?
We've got 2 weeks off, and then we're straight back to it. Really, we're going to do the UK, Germany, and there's a few other European dates that we're just sorting out at the moment. And then it'll be straight into festival season, and let's all go again. And actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we're coming back in December, so there'll be a few headline shows with the full band.
Yeah, cool.
Hopefully in Sydney and Melbourne. Yep. So stay tuned, and we'll have to get you along to one. Yeah,
that'd be fantastic. That'd be great. I think I was gigging the night, one of the nights you're in Sydney anyway. So. So yeah, if that lines up, that'll be fantastic. It'd be great to hear this stuff live for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for your time. Really great to meet you, and I've been really digging the new releases and digging back through your back catalogue as well to get a bit more of a picture of who you are and I guess where you've come from and where it's all headed. So yeah, great to talk to you. Enjoy the rest of Bondi and safe travels back home.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
All right, there you go, my conversation with Nathan Ball. Really great to meet him and discuss his work. Really fantastic stuff, beautifully written and produced, and some really cool, subtle and moving guitar things going on there as well. So check out Nathan's links. I've put them in the show notes for this episode, so you can check out his music and upcoming dates, including the final few of the current Australian tour and some upcoming dates in Europe as well. My thanks to Nick and Rob from Good Intent Publicity for helping line up this conversation. Really appreciate it, you guys. All right, that's about it. Remember to head over to guitarspeakpodcast.com to check out any of our previous 100 plus episodes with leading guitarists and guitar figures from all around the world. Also, our links to our social media and subscription options for the show are there as well. The show's always free to subscribe to, with lots of ways to do that. So head on over to that site if you've not done that already. Okay, thanks for joining me. My name's Matt Wakeling. You've been listening to the Guitar Speak podcast, and I'll catch you next time. Bye now.